I'm just going to be honest, like your lead nurturing is one of the main reasons why your cold outreach either fails or succeeds. And it may seem like simple to take a positive reply and turn it into a booked call, and then that booked call into money, but it is not as simple as it seems. So in this video, I'm going to break down the exact process that we recommend and the thinking behind it, so you can turn as many positive replies as possible into money. So let's dive into the game of lead nurture. So the definition is we're taking a positive reply and we're trying to turn it into a sales call. So what we like to think about when you're building like an outbound acquisition system is you're building a bridge. You've got these bricks in the bridge. So you might have your outreach as a brick, then you might have your lead nurture as a brick, then you might have your sales process as a brick, and then you might have, the next sort of things. And what you're going to find is if any of these bricks are missing or they're missing parts, pretty much all your leads are going to fall down in that part. Right? Like if your lead nurture brick is not there, you cannot pass the bridge. You're not going to make any sales because you're not booking in enough sales calls to do that. Okay. So the definition that we look at is the process between you've generated a positive reply. So you've done some cold outbound, you've got a positive reply, how to turn that into a sales meeting. And ideally it's like a qualified, good quality sales meeting. Okay. Generating the reply is the hard part. Like, in all honesty, if you're generating positive replies, you can solve the rest of it, right? Because you've got some throughput into the system that you can now solve for, okay? So without it, it's kind of worthless. Lead nurturing is building trust and rapport over time. So the goal of the lead nurture, it's not like a transactional phase where you're just coordinating with the lead about a time for a sales call, right? You're trying to move them closer to a sale. You're building trust in this process, okay? So nurture is the key. When you have so little rapport with someone, your relationship is extremely fickle, so you need to treat it with care. So this is going to be like a crude metaphor, so apologies. But imagine you've walked into a bar and said hi, and they say hi back. This is literally where you are in the relationship when you've done some cold outreach and they've said sure. Like, it's very fickle and crude and really at the beginning of the relationship. You have not built any trust or rapport. Now, there is an argument that can be said that, like, maybe they've gone and done some research on you before coming back to you, and so there's built some bit of trust. They've gone to a website, they've seen that you've got some great case studies and video testimonials, and they've seen that you're posting on LinkedIn, they've seen that you've got a YouTube channel, and they've watched some content, right? That's like them asking their friend, like, what's this guy on about? And she said, oh, that guy's really cool, he's the man, like all this other good things about you behind your back. That may have happened, but often it hasn't. There is no trust and rapport, okay? So you can't just, jump to the next stage unless you have a very good offer. And this is why offer is king, and this is why everyone says have a fantastic offer, because if you have a fantastic offer, you can just say, hey, I want to get out of here, right? If your offer is fantastic and it works for the cold market. But most people don't have a fantastic offer that works for the cold market, so you can't do that. You have to build some trust and rapport to get them to the next step. So lead nurture is a system. We're building a system where we put in positive responses and get out outbound messaging, and they go through the same process, right, to get the other side. So this means that positive replies come in, they go through some process, a repeatable process. Some repeatable process. It's not a random thing. You don't do random things for each of them. You do a repeatable process. And then you get out a repeatable, predictable result. Predictable amount of sales calls. For every positive reply, you put them through a predictable lead nurture process, and 60% of them turn into calls that show. Right? And you can repeat this process or refine this process. Okay? So the system must be repeatable, otherwise it's not a system. All right? The system must be repeatable, otherwise it is not a system. You provide consistent input and get a consistent output when you have a consistent process, repeatable. Okay, it's a nice little picture. Principles to be understood to build an optimal process. Like, what is an optimal lead nurture process? And so you have to understand these, right? These are the context, the principles that underpin what is going on here. Understanding this allows you to build the system because you understand why you're doing certain things. So principle number one, you're competing with their life. And what I mean by that is, take it back to our crude analogy. You go up to, a girl at a bar or whatever, and you say hi and they say hi back. You've got so little trust and rapport that anything that can happen in their life is far more important than you, right? And that's the same when you're doing cold outbound and they've just responded to your email and said, sure. You mean nothing to them because you've got so little trust and rapport. It's not like an inbound prospect whose business partner or auntie or dog has said that you're like fantastic and they must work with you and that you've got some relationship. Why? Because if they've come to you inbound, they've gone through some process of building trust and rapport, and so they feel like they have some obligation. There's some obligation to not ghost you if they've come inbound. Outbound, there is that obligation has not been built yet. Okay, so they showed mild interest, but they do not know or care about you. You are not a priority. Any life event outweighs you. If they stub their toe, that's more important than you, right? So I cancelled a meeting today through cold outbound because it is my girlfriend's birthday and I need to get some ingredients to make a cake. Right? That's like, not that I'm saying that that's not like a super important thing to do, obviously, but the meeting, I can just cancel and not provide any reason. I don't know this person. It's fine. I've cancelled the meeting. It's all good. It's a low priority. If my business partner told me, hey, you have to go a meeting with this guy, like, I've heard really good things and, I know him. I'm going to reschedule the meeting most likely. All right. So this is what I mean. Anything else in life is more important than the meeting, right? So you need to build a system that overcomes that. Therefore, assume they will do nothing because life has gone in the way, right? Just assume that life is going to get in the way and it's going to get in the way of you being able to book a sales call. So you need to keep the ball in your court at all times. Like, if I don't hear back from you, I'll call you at this time. Always take the next step and make the next step something that you can take. Keep the ball in your court, essentially. Right? If someone responds really positively, like, hey, like, this sounds fantastic, let's jump on a call. A better system is to say, okay, great, I've got time at Tuesday 2 p.m. or Thursday at 3 p.m. My week is starting to fill up though, so if I don't hear from you, I'm going to book you in for that Thursday at 3 p.m. time. Right? You're keeping the ball in your court. If you don't hear from them, you've said, I'm going to take this next step. Okay. So the principle 2. So the second principle I want to talk about is when you're building an outbound system, there's 2 jobs or 2 roles that are being done. One is building the outbound system and one is doing the tasks in that system you've built. Right. So for example, you could build a sales system that requires a discovery call and a demo call, right? You can have someone do the discovery call and do the demo call. They're doing the tasks. But the person who's building the scripts, doing what they do if they no-show, how do you handle all these objections? How do you build the demo slides? Why they're done in a certain way? How do you pitch the price? That's building the systems, okay? So rule number 1, running the outbound tasks, sending, nurturing, taking calls. Rule number 2, building the systems that eventually make this scalable. You must keep refining and building the systems until deals are closing. Don't do the most common lead nurturing mistake that I see, which is they're doing lead nurturing. It's not resulting in sales calls. It's taking up lots of their time. Hey, I'll automate this by giving it to somebody else. They're not going to. You have to solve you have to solve the system first. You have to fix the system until it's working before you try to give it to anyone. Okay? You cannot just outsource this task until the process is getting the throughput at a level that you're happy with. So if you think about this, let's say this lead nurture isn't going very well. You can't just give it to somebody else. You have to solve it. You have to solve it. And once you've solved it, then you can say, hey, these are the tasks that are involved. You have to send them like a voice note. And then if they don't reply, you need to connect with them on LinkedIn. And then you need to do all these things, right? Those are the tasks. You can outsource the tasks. You need to solve the process to be built, okay? Bridge analogy, you're laying bricks. Until the bridge is complete, no one crosses, okay? So let's say these are the bridges. You got to send the outbound. You got to get the positive replies. You got to nurture the leads. You got to book in the discovery calls. You got to book in the demo calls. You got to close. If these nurtured leads aren't turning into discovery calls, e.g., there's a missing brick here or this brick is broken, you're not going to close any deals. They're not going to get across the bridge. Okay. If you're sending outbound leads, cool. That one's checked. You're getting positive replies. Cool. That one's checked. You're doing nurturing leads wrong because you're not getting discovery calls. You need to solve that. Okay. Principle number 3. Use richer mediums to build trust. Trust is built through communication richness, meaning that the richer the medium that you're using, the easier it is to build trust with a prospect. So the most rich medium is in person. Right? If you're meeting with somebody in person, if you spend time with somebody in person, it's very easy to build trust. Right? The next would be video. So if you send them a video or have a video call or do something over video, then you build trust to a slightly less degree than in person. Then audio. So we're thinking like phone calls here, voice notes, this sort of thing, and then text, right? So when we're thinking of building this system, with the thing in mind to build trust. And you want to build trust because it helps with the sales process, but it also means they're less likely to ghost you. Then you want to use richer mediums, right? And typically you're doing cold email, so you're starting in a place of text. So you want to figure out how can you work in audio and video here to build more trust and rapport with the prospect. So if outreach started in email, you can use Loom. You can use Loom in voice notes. If it started on LinkedIn, you can use LinkedIn and LinkedIn voice notes. So that's what's really nice about LinkedIn. I would highly recommend if you're doing LinkedIn outreach, using LinkedIn voice notes. And Instagram, you can use stuff like video DMs. Like whatever the medium is, you can try and move it towards a slightly richer medium to build more trust and rapport. Voice notes and Looms dramatically increase trust. Multi-channel is allowed if appropriate. I can also say that sending, if you've got their phone number and they're like on iMessage and you've got an iPhone, sending them like a personalized video via iMessage also goes really well. Like, hey, Joe, thank you so much, man. I flicked you, let's find a time over this week. Again, you're not going to watch that and then ghost you because there's multiple things going on. One of them is like the law of reciprocity. You've started to make an effort. So they're going to feel like they have to make an effort. Otherwise they're being a dick, essentially. So there's that as well. The fourth principle, start intensive and then dial back. So if you haven't solved cold outbound yet, it probably takes more work than what you are expecting. So start with the most amount of work. And then once you get way too many leads and you're making way too many sales, then you can dial it back. Okay, don't go the other way where you start with a little bit of work and you don't get enough leads and then you have to do more and then you have to do more and you have to do more. Because there's going to be a huge time delay. You're going to spend months, 6 months, a year trying to solve this when you could have just been like, what is the best offer? What's the most volume I can send? What's the best way to nurture the leads? What is the best sales process with the, charging the best price point and reversing the risk? Wow, I've got way too much leads now. Let's dial them all back one by one, okay? This is the same with lead nurture. Begin with a more proactive cadence, like do 5 to 7 follow-ups. It's better to be too active than timid. If the market pushes back consistently, not just one person says, why did you follow up 5 times? If majority of people push back, or a high percentage of people, let's say 20% of people are pushing back, then you can scale it down, right? If they ghost, escalate the mediums, move from voice to video. When you're building a system, essentially what you're doing, just think about it this way. You're baking a cake, right? And you've got an idea of the ingredients and an idea of how to put them together. You do it and then you put it into the oven. In order to know if you've done a good job, you need to taste it. You need to eat the cake and be like, man, I shouldn't have put 3 cups of salt in here. It's real salty. I'm going to change the system. So in order to do that, you need to taste the cake, e.g. you need the data, right? And that's why you want to be more intensive, is because you need to know what's working and what's not working. So you do more to get more data, to refine the system quicker. Because otherwise, it's not a factor of time, it's a factor of data. Like, you can build the system if you have all the data now, right? You can get all that data in a month, or you can get it in 6 months, but you need the data to make the call. So that's why you want to be more intensive. And this is with all systems that you're building, right? This is with your cold email system. Like, yeah, you could test some copy now, 10,000, and then in a month test another 10,000, or you could test 20,000 of each bit of copy and know in 1 month, right? So with all things, you want to get the data quicker. You do the data by essentially doing more work. And then lastly, principle 5, bell curve. So people are going to fall on this sort of bell curve. There is going to be 15% of prospects that just suck and you can't get them onto a sales call. They just, for whatever reason, no matter how good of a system you build, somebody else can build a system, you're not going to get them onto a sales call. That's fine. Don't worry about those. Then there's going to be 50% of people which are nice, easy people, which are just super easy to move forward in this process. Right? Don't worry about those. They're going to happen regardless. We're trying to solve for the middle 68%. The majority of people, that is who we're building the system for. Okay, so if you have one person that says, like, piss off or something, don't take it to heart. And if you have one person that one call closes, also don't take it to heart. We're focusing on the middle. Okay, so when you are building your lead nurture system, each industry is going to be slightly different. So I'll show you some different systems, but just bear in mind that you've got certain tools in your toolbox and you're building on a bit of land, which is your system. And so you're going to have to use different tools to the next person, right? But you're going to use the principles above essentially to do this. So you can use email, you can use voice notes, you can use Looms or just videos. You can use LinkedIn, you can use SMS, you can do phone calls, you can do voicemail drops, you can do a lots of different things, but these are like the main ones. So you need to assemble these in a repeatable system that fits your market, because we work with lots of companies where the best thing to do is just call any lead. Anyone that responds positively, you call them. Right? If they don't pick up, you send them a text, and then you call them the next day. You add them on LinkedIn. Right? They're using phone because of it's appropriate for the industry. Some industries, you're not just going to call people that respond positively to your emails. That's inappropriate, right? And so they would have a different tools, different cadence, and a different system. Okay, so this is a typical low quality system that most people use, which doesn't work. Okay, which is you get a positive reply, you email them some info and a booking link, and then you follow up if they don't respond. Don't do that. It doesn't work. The only times we do this is when we're getting far too many leads. For example, one of our clients was getting around 300 leads a month, and they were getting too many calls. They just wanted the highest quality calls. Quality meaning the people that are most ready for a call, right? So we did this approach. We sent them info and a booking link. A majority of people didn't book, but it meant that people that did book were the most ready for the call. Don't take this the wrong way. It's not like the people with the most money booked the call, right? So when you're talking about lead quality, I'm just talking about call readiness. The people that are most ready and keen for the call book the call, so they show up where it was good. Okay, it doesn't mean that the people with the most money book the call. Okay, here is some decent quality systems. Positive reply: you email them proposing 2 times for a call and answer any questions. You text and call them at the next available slot if no response. So you say, hey, I've got some time at Tuesday 2 p.m, Wednesday at 4 p.m. If at Tuesday at 2 p.m. they haven't responded, you give them a call. Okay? You email again with no response. Another one is you call the prospect straight away and answer any questions. You text the prospect asking if they're free for a quick chat. If they doesn't pick up, then you email them proposing 2 times to answer any questions. You email again with no response, right? So these are decent quality. And now you'll see these high quality lead nurture systems. What they do is they involve, like let's say here, yes, they're pushing to a discovery call, but they're also allowing there to be space here, right? Because typically, these are all focused on getting the call booked within the next 24, 48, 72 hours, right? Which makes sense. But there is a percentage of prospects which are going to turn into a call in a month, 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, okay? And so you want to see if you can add systems or parts of this process which allows that to happen. So positive reply comes in, you add the prospect on LinkedIn. If you connect, you message them on LinkedIn. You email them proposing 2 times and ask any questions. You call them the next slot if no response. You email them again if no response. You add them to a long-term nurture email sequence. Send them YouTube content. If they watch the YouTube content, YouTube will recommend more content. Okay? Here's another one. You add the prospect on LinkedIn. If you connect, you message them on LinkedIn. You make the prospect a Loom video and answer any questions and propose 2 times for a call. You call them the next available time slot. You email them again if no response. You add them to a long-term nurture email sequence, send them to YouTube content. You add the emails to retargeting ads. Other things that I've seen pop up is you can send them to, you can send out personalized videos. You can put a pixel on those personalized videos. If they watch the videos, then you can use, retargeting ads to retarget them. Okay, so here are some ideas about how to build a lead nurturing system that actually converts. This level of optimization covered in this video is what is going to put you ahead of everybody else that is trying and vying for attention through cold outbound. If you want somebody else to build these systems for you, you can book in a call with somebody in my team below. There should be a link to a call. If you want to dive deeper into this process yourself, there should be a 90-minute video on screen now where I break down our full process. I'll see you there. Peace.